In this video, we will show you how to replace your left rear flex hose on this Lincoln Navigator. This will be located behind your left rear wheel. Let's get into it. Okay friends, let's get started on our job. The first thing you're going to want to do is safely raise and support the rear of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. Once you've done that, remove your center cover. On these, you're going to find that you have a small slot that you can use a trim tool to get in between and gently pry it off. Quick inspection, set that aside. With that out of the way, continue on to removing all 5 of your 21mm lug nuts and then the wheel. Now with that out of the way, we have a clear view of our rear caliper. On the back side of the caliper, you'll find that you have a bleeder screw that you can use a 3/8 to loosen. We'll make sure we have a collection bucket under this area so we can recycle the fluid properly. Once you have that loose, double check to make sure fluid does come out of it. Now at this point, you're going to want to make sure you hop up into the passenger compartment, step down on that brake pedal and hold it to the floor. Typically, it's a good idea to use a pry bar. Holding it in this position will make it so the fluid stops dripping out, and then we can continue. Once you've done that, continue on to closing that bleeder screw. We're just going to snug it because we will be reopening it later. Continue on to removing your 14mm headed banjo bolt. That's the bolt that holds the flex hose to the caliper. You'll find for this there should be 2 gaskets. Make sure that both of them are removed for this process. With the flex hose off of there, I'll remove the banjo bolt from the flex hose, remove 1 gasket. We'll give that banjo bolt a quick inspection. You will be reusing this. Set that aside and remove the other gasket, assuming it's still there. Just use a small screwdriver to pick this off of here. There's that one. Set that aside for recycling. Now let's follow that flex hose to where it connects onto 2 steel lines. You'll find 1 steel line coming in along the top of it and another along the bottom. Now typically when you try to break these free, it's going to flex this around. Hold onto it with some locking pliers so it doesn't move around too much, and then continue on with the 12mm to loosen each of these nuts. As you're doing this, be extremely careful not to twist your steel brake line. If you do, you'll have to replace it. We'll just work this back and forth with some penetrant until it breaks free. We have that line broken free. Do the same to the other. Remove your locking pliers. Now that we have both of those lines disconnected, it's time to remove the flex hose from the frame of the vehicle. Now if you are looking at the flex hose, you can see that you have this rectangular area where both of those lines went into. Make your way just above that and you're going to find a 10mm headed bolt. Remove that bolt. Take hold of that flex hose and remove it from the vehicle. There it is, friends. Before you get ready for the installation of your new flex hose, have a look at your two steel lines. Make sure it doesn't look like they're rotted or damaged in any way. If it does, it's a good idea to replace them now. Okay friends, let's get ready for the installation of our brand new rear flex hose. Before you mount this to the frame of the vehicle, start in each of your brake lines. Get this lined up on here. It's a good idea to make sure each of these thread in by hand. There's one. We'll do the same to the other. Now before we tighten those, let's make sure that we put in our mounting bolt and snug that first. Once it feels as though it's bottomed out, just make sure it's nice and snug. Now that we have that tight, let's continue tightening those lines. Once you feel as though you have it bottomed out, just take it a little bit further to make sure it's nice and snug. We'll do the same to the other line. Bottomed out. Continue on to your banjo bolt and your two gaskets. Take one of your new gaskets and put it directly onto that banjo bolt. Once you have that in place, we'll come right over to the brake hose, slide it through, continue on with the next gasket on the other side of the hose. Now you have a gasket on either side. Align the banjo bolt with the caliper and start it in by hand so you're sure it's not cross-threading into place. Once it's on there, snug it up. Torque your banjo bolt to 26 foot-pounds. The next thing you'll want to do is release the brake pedal. After that, make your way back down here to our bleeder screw. Use a 3/8 wrench. We'll break this free and let it gravity bleed. What I mean by that is we're waiting to see a steady trickle of fluid coming out of this area. Now that we have a steady trickle of fluid coming out of here, let's close our bleeder screw. Now the next thing we want to do before we start bleeding the brakes is to double check that master cylinder. If it looks like it's low, just top it off with some .3 brake fluid. After that, make your way back under the vehicle and we're going to continue at the passenger side rear caliper. Now we're over at the passenger side rear caliper. We're going to have to open up this bleeder screw using our 3/8. The reason why we're opening this one is because as you saw on that flex hose, it had two lines coming through it. One of them leads all the way over to here, so we want to make sure that we bleed out any air from inside the system. Let's get this broken free. Now that I have it broken free with my socket, we'll close it off. You're going to have to make your way into the passenger compartment and pump up that brake pedal until it starts feeling firm. This is going to be easiest having a second person. Go ahead and pump up that brake pedal. With them holding, we're going to open this up, but be careful because this will be under pressure, meaning it's going to be forcing fluid out. Go ahead and pump it. Pump. Now that we're sure we've got all the air out of this side, let's go ahead and close that bleeder screw, clean our mess, and make our way over to the driver's side. Over on the driver's side, let's have the person inside the vehicle go ahead and pump up those brakes and hold the pedal. Go ahead and pump. All right, now as you can see, I had no air coming out of this side. That means that we're fully bled. At this point, I'll clean my mess here and we can continue. Go ahead and release that brake pedal. Now that we have everything bled and clean, let's go ahead and have that person inside of the vehicle pump up that brake pedal and hold it nice and firm. Confirm that neither of your bleeder screws are leaking and each of your brake lines are screwed in tightly into the flex hose. If you have any leaks, it's important to make sure you fix that and re-bleed the system. Once you've confirmed that you have no leaks, continue on to reinstalling your wheel. Start on all 5 of your 21mm lug nuts and snug them up. With the wheel safely on the ground, continue on to torquing each of your lug nuts to 150 foot-pounds. Torqued. If you have a center cover, install that now. Looking at the back side, you'll see that you have 5 holes that should align with each of your 5 lug nuts. Now we can make our way under the hood and find that master cylinder. Remove the cap and top it off to the max with .3 brake fluid. Once you have it up to par, continue on by putting on that cover, close the hood, take your vehicle for a road test. Aside from that, thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.